Welcome to Once Upon a Line, a showcase for short stories.
A Reserved Seat by Jenny Parker. Whenever a new show appears on Oscar, the Arts Centre's ticket booking system, the box office volunteers eagerly open the programme and look forward to being greeted by a pristine, empty, green seating plan on the screen. This means there's lots of choice for the early bird punters, and for the volunteers, the thrill of watching those green spaces gradually turn to black as tickets are sold hopefully means a lucrative full house. In recent months, the completely green screen has failed to appear. There always seems to be a blot on the landscape. No matter how early you arrive to inspect that virgin screen, someone has always got there before you, and A9 has been sold. Someone has bought it on the internet overnight, we surmise. But when we go through the motions of printing the ticket off, there's nothing there in the queue. Delving deeper into the mysteries of Oscar, we find the ticket has definitely been sold. The transaction number is always the same, 007101. Tickets for new shows can be put on Oscar weeks and sometimes months in advance. But no matter how early this is done, seat 9 has always been sold by the time the first volunteers can open up the screen. For some of the dozen or so volunteers, actually 13 at the moment, this is quite a worry. For the rest, with too much else to do trying to keep the show on the road, there is a slightly irritated acceptance. However, on the day tickets for the long-awaited Phantom of the Opera went on sale, 2 intrepid volunteers decided that the joke had gone far enough. They would buy seats B8 and B9 for the first night, right behind that now infamous seat, and see who turned up. The long-awaited night arrived, and the front-of-house volunteer responsible for taking the tickets was asked to check the seat numbers as people arrived, and to try and recognise the person handing her a ticket for seat A9. The box office volunteers, dressed in their finery, for this was a big night out, took their seats. The 5-minute bell, then the 3-minute bell had rung, and an anticipated hush was falling over the audience when hurried footsteps came down the aisle and the ticket collector dashed up to her colleagues, waving a ticket at them. 159 tickets had been handed in, A9 included. The auditorium was full to bursting. The ticket was there, but that last seat in the front row on the right-hand side against the wall remained empty. The 2 volunteers sat nervously, but began to relax as the overture began. The curtains opened, and the show was in full swing. But then it began. A gentle humming at first, delighted chuckling and singing along to Music of the Night and All I Ask of You, culminating in an almost full rendition of the title tune, and wild applause, all of this coming from the apparently empty seat in front. The rest of the audience were bound up in the show and seemed not to notice, but our ladies grew more and more uncomfortable. Although the show was wonderful, they found it difficult to concentrate with the strong participation from the empty seat in front, and were relieved when the interval arrived. They had planned to have ice cream, stem ginger for one, salted caramel the other. Instead, they rushed straight to the bar and ordered 2 stiff gin and tonics. At the end of the interval, they were reluctant to go back in, but they'd paid good money, and it was an excellent performance. So after braving the last-minute queue for the ladies, they slipped into their seats and sat back, prepared to enjoy the second half and ignore the invisible incumbent of seat A9. The magic of the show and the music swept them along right until the final number. The frantic applause, the endless bows, the spell finally broken as the house lights came up. Exhausted, our ladies rose from their seats, with only a quick glance at the empty seat in front. They must have imagined it. There'd been nobody in A9 all along. But then they saw it. Resting on the top of the tip-top seat was an empty tub and spoon, that had obviously contained a blood orange sorbet. Footnote: backstage hands and cast members don't often talk about it, but sometimes express a feeling of unease as they tiptoe along the top corridor between scenes to enter the star dressing room. Could this have been the ghost of the old market playhouse?
Thank you for listening. To submit a story, either send us an audio file, ensuring you include your name and your story's title at the beginning of your recording, or send us a written version and we'll record it on your behalf. All submissions should be sent to press, that's PRESS, at shaftesburyartscentre.org.uk. This has been a Shaftesbury Arts Centre audio production.